Words and Swords. We wanted to check in and talk about The Last of Us. We have Zack and Alyssa. And, man, The Last of Us. So I spent the last, 7 weeks watching the episode each week, getting up the next morning. It's been like 3 hours on a review. It was really fun. It was. I enjoyed writing them. I enjoy the show. So I've reviewed every episode individually, and those are all on the barn.media on the Birds and Swords page. And so I've spent a lot of time with it. And then you guys took a different approach. So you didn't start with, what is today? We're recording on Wednesday. So you guys started watching on Monday and finished it last night. So you've watched the entire series straight through in the last couple nights.
Yeah, we binged it.
It has taken over the internet, which was that hard to dodge, by the way?
Yeah, it was everywhere. But since I played the game, it didn't really bother me.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a good thing to point out. Alyssa and I have played the game. I've actually played it through twice. Zack has not played it at all, right?
Not the second one, but I watched her play most of it. Okay, like half it. I didn't realize how much I missed, I should say.
Which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started, I guess. I'm going to go ahead. I put together like a slideshow. So what I did was I rated all the seasons individually, and when I added all those up and divided them by 7, it was like 8.14 or something. I was like, I'd give the season about an 8. So I gave the full season an 8. What did you guys think of the season, I guess, as a full before we kind of break down into details?
I comparatively, I liked the first one better. This one I would rank probably around like a 7. I really enjoyed it. I think it followed the game well from what I remember. My issue was just how much they focused on specifically like Dina and her relationship and her story. It just drove me nuts. I didn't care.
See, I didn't think and a lot of the complaints online are that they didn't spend enough time with that, because when things like started to happen, it all happened like really fast, and maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like they spent a ton of time on Dina, I guess, in the first 2 episodes, part of the Jackson life.
Yeah, I mean, like, she's there a lot, so I guess it makes sense that they focused on her as much as they did. There she is. And she's freaking an amazing actress.
Yeah.
She really killed the role.
Yeah, I thought out of all the new casting that we had, which was all really good, I felt.
Yeah.
She was definitely like the shining star. Like, they nailed her casting.
Yeah.
And like you said, and I didn't have as big a problem with Dina in the game as you did, but because she's
I had beef with her.
Yeah, she's kind of like the free spirit. They kind of amp that up a little, even more. She's like the street smart one, the streetwise game. You know, you see that in some of their encounters with the infected. Like, Ellie wants to go like full throttle, and Dina's the one where she's always like, let's think about this and let's think about what we're doing. So I thought Dina's casting was perfect.
Yeah, agreed.
She's really easy to watch and fun and cute and all that, so all that works. I thought Jesse's casting was really, really good, whoever that guy is.
I really like Jesse's casting.
And then, what's her name from Schitt's Creek? Catherine O'Hara?
Moira is how I know her. It's so weird to see her without the accent.
Yeah, as Gail, the town therapist.
She kills that role.
She did so good. Yep.
She's not in it much, and I don't necessarily need more of her, but she's in really impactful parts. She's in like really serious parts, and then she's always like this pillar of advice that's gives you like sarcastic,
very, like,
smart ass advice,
jaded
almost.
advice, like very like straightforward, jaded. Yeah, I liked her character a lot. Really well done.
So like I said, all the new casting, and Abby, I guess we could go ahead and talk about. Abby's not in the episode a ton. Or in the season a ton, excuse me. She's in the first couple episodes, and then obviously shows up again at the end. So how do you feel about her?
Fantastic. I think great
Catherine
casting.
Devers?
Yeah. So my beef with her is actually not with her. It's with the fandom, because when Last of Us 2 came out, everybody was up in arms, like the game, sorry. Everyone was up in arms that Abby was buff and girls can't be like that. This isn't real. Blah, blah, blah. She's not hot enough, whatever. And then when they cast this live action actress, everyone's like, why isn't she buff? She's buff in the game. She needs to be buff. Pick a side, fellas. Like, I think either or LVL4. I think the game version of her was awesome, and I think this live action actress of her is fantastic. I think she really encapsulates her story and emotions and journey really well so far from what we've seen of her.
Yeah, there's been a lot of comparisons where she's good at making the same look on her face. Though.
Yes.
Have you seen some of those
Yes.
side by sides?
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that casting. I know Ellie and Bella Ramsey's come across. I just can't stand it. It's driving me crazy, all the hate that she's getting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because not all characters in the show in The Last of Us look exactly like they do in the game.
No.
Like, who's the town council leading woman? What's Tommy's wife's name?
Oh, what's her
Maria.
name?
I mean, she's a white woman in the game. She's a black.
Marla?
She's a black
Maria.
woman. I think it's Maria.
Yeah.
She's a black woman in the show, and no one seems to have an issue with that. But Ellie doesn't look quite like Ellie in it. Like,
And it's like actual
weird.
bullying that she's getting
Oh, yeah.
online. Like it's actual really horrible, mean bullying. And you don't have to love the actress, but like, Jesus Christ, do not be a bully.
Right. Like, I think she's still doing a great job. I think it's just hard because so much time is said to have passed, and the actress still has a baby face. So,
yeah, I mean, in real life, she's like 20 or 21.
Exactly.
She's actually older than the character that they're playing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the baby face just like kind of makes it easy for some of those people to hate on it when it's like, yeah, focus on the acting. She's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the
There's been a lot of people trash her acting, though, too. Like,
I think she's
Ellie can't,
great.
or Bella Ramsey can't carry the show without Pedro.
Yeah, I think her acting's been great. I think she's the best at like the sarcastic, funny moments. And sometimes in the more serious ones, I struggle a little bit with her. But I think overall, I'm really happy with her casting.
Yeah.
agreed. And yeah, I think sometimes in the parts where she's like angry, people are taking it as whiny. And most of those are people that haven't played the game. And it's like,
Yeah, maybe.
the emotion is there and the lines are there. Like, I think it's very well done and very accurate, but they're just finding something to complain about.
Yeah, to wrap up the hate, I guess. I find that the second season, what's interesting is that the second season of the show is every bit as divisive as the second game was with gamers.
Yeah.
It's like exactly the same, which means they're probably doing it right.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I didn't think this season was as good as the first one. I think it has two of the best, probably the top two episodes in the entire series. But last season, I felt like it paced better, especially as far as character development. They've sped through some of it in season 2, where it's just they take care of it all in like one act of one episode, like a whole, like especially in the finale, like her and Jesse. I felt like that all happened way too fast.
Yeah.
But people are gonna. It's definitely like a love it or hate it thing. I feel like I actually like the second game more than the first game. Because I really, really, really like Abby's story, and we'll get into that in a minute with season 3 coming up. But like I said, if it's divisive, I feel like they're doing their job, because this isn't traditional storytelling, even with what happened at the end of this season, because some of the things that we saw, especially at the end with like Mel dying, like those things are going to be retroactively better once you see the next season, because you know it happens. It changes the way you watch it when you know that some things have already happened.
Right.
I know that's not a brand new thing for television, but it's not a common thing for sure.
Yeah.
So, I guess we could go through the season, real quick. The first season kind of sets it up, or the first episode kind of sets it up. We get to meet Abby, all of that stuff. I thought that the second episode, it does a lot of good character building. I forget how it ends. I don't even think it ends with much of a cliffhanger. It's more of like Jackson life, and here's how things are.
Yeah.
Reintroduce you to everybody. But I felt like the second episode is the best episode of the entire series. It's the episode where Joel, spoilers. It's the episode where Joel dies. But that full episode is, let me transition us back in life. That full episode, like, it does a really good job making you feel uncomfortable, anxious. There's anxiety, even in the parts that don't have to do with Joel.
Yeah.
That whole episode just feels different. Like, it drove me crazy, and I loved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
And tons of action too. That was the
Yeah.
one with all the action, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we saw a lot happening. I mean, that episode felt so fast. It just edge of your seat, and it's just bam, bam, bam.
Well, they added. Do you guys watch the little things afterwards?
No.
Oh, you totally should. There's like a 5 to 7 minute. Here's the producer and the writers and Druckmann, who's the creator. Here's all his thoughts. You should really watch this. Anyway, they make a good point that in that episode, because they added the attack on Jackson. It's mentioned in the game that Jackson has been attacked, but you don't see any of that. So they added, it's the same episode where Joel's in danger, Dina's in danger, the storm's coming in, Jesse and Ellie are in danger, and then they add this whole thing with the infected on Jackson, so everybody's in danger. And they talk about that after the episode. And that's what really weighs heavy, that whole episode is, especially if you know what's coming, I guess. You're like, I don't know. Especially when he talks to Abby for the first time after he rescues her. And they have a little bit of a confrontation. Then it flashes to Ellie riding the horse, like coming up to the thing. And you're like, no, this is it.
That was my anxiety, was I knew what was coming. And I was like, fuck, I'm not ready.
So how'd you feel about how they portrayed Joel's death? They nail it, or did you know knew that Joel died at least?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I was crying on the couch when I played the game.
And man, Pedro Pascal is so good. Like, when he says, I saved you, like, I felt that so much. I'm like, there's no way. Like, knowing what happens, I'm still like, how does Abby still go through with it? You would be dead if not for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he pulls at the heartstrings big time, and it just makes it so much harder. And like the fact that Ellie watches is also just like so heartbreaking. Like after you've seen them go through so much together, and they have this just unbreakable bond, even when they're mad at each other, like you just like your heart just snaps.
And she tells him to get up, and he tries to get up just a little bit, just like he does in the game, and it's just so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that episode, they play the Ashley Johnson song that she sings from the game.
Oh, Take On Me?
Yeah, if you haven't seen or played the game, you just think that was a cool song to end with. But people who play the game are like, oh my God, and they're closing with that song. So that episode, I scored it a 9.5 just because I don't like Manny. You know who Manny is?
Yeah.
I was like, how do I not give this a 10? And Manny is still stupid because he like comes up to her and spits on her and calls her a pendejo.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a typecast. I just hate Manny.
Yeah.
I know he has to exist, but yeah, so that's the only reason I took off. But that was what I felt like was the best episode. We get a lot of meat in the middle, some good infected stuff. They introduced the stalkers, which are like the smart
terrifying.
ones.
They do it so well in the show. They're terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, they're scary in the show.
That was so creepy when they first introduced it.
Yeah, so there's a cool front shot of Ellie with the background blurred, but you can still see like the stalker going across the shelves in the background and stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, like every time she passes the row, it's just behind that row. Like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah. And then, we didn't talk about the barn dance. I thought they did that the New Year's Eve party.
That was almost verbatim to the game. That was like really well done.
Like cinematographer, set design and stuff, because the lighting, like everything, it
was
looked
dead on.
exactly like the game. They did a really good job with that scene. We start getting in, like we started out talking with Dina and Ellie's relationship. She finds out she's pregnant, and there's a little sex scene.
Yeah, she's pregnant and Ellie is immune, and they're like finger bang.
Yeah.
Like that's hot.
Yeah. Let me check and make sure. That's a comment I saw online.
Oh,
like, I'm pregnant. Well, let me check. Totally, yeah.
Still infected, probably like 3 doors down, by the way.
You and I text. That's one of the few things we did text about is I wish they would have kept, because that scene exists, but they like find the same like broke down 7-Eleven or whatever that has all the weed in it that her and Jesse find in the game. Her and Dina find that, and they get high and stuff, and then like have a heart to heart, and then they sleep together.
Yeah.
But in the show, I don't know. It
felt really weird and random and sudden, and like it didn't feel natural to me.
Yeah.
And then they spent so long in the morning after with their morning after breath and their let's talk about our feelings.
Yeah.
And it was too much.
Dad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was kind of cringe. It was a lot.
Yeah, I didn't see. I'm going to be a dad in the game?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
I can't imagine it was. But
Ellie reacts differently in the game. Ellie's not all happy-go-lucky about it. She's
Yeah.
real like confused and almost angry acting. She's kind of distant for like the next day or whatever.
Yeah.
So they like totally changed their relationship in that aspect.
Yeah.
I actually didn't mind like the talk the next morning. I didn't think it went on too long. It gave the characters some background about who they love and that kind of stuff.
I
Life
just
stuff.
don't care, to be honest.
The Last of Us is about character development.
I know it really is, and I just don't know why it drives me nuts so much, because like the show is really about humanity and relationships and people, but just like something about how much time they spend. But I also just don't, in video games and in movies and TV shows, I don't like love plots unless it really adds and fuels the story. And I think this does to a point. Obviously, the pregnancy thing and stuff like adds a lot of layers, but I don't think that their relationship is imperative to the rest of what's going on. And it feels like just like an extra.
I disagree.
And that's totally fine.
Especially through the latter parts of the second game. That's what it's all about, pretty much. Like it circles all back to that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they had to do some building there, I suppose. Man, there was just a image that I wanted to talk. Man, some of the this one right here.
I think it's the timing of the relationships, especially because in the game, you have a lot more time to like walk around and do other stuff and take up that time in between the cutscenes of relationship.
Yeah, I could see that. You got to go through it faster when you're making a TV show.
Yeah, Zack.
Right. So in the show, it's kind of like, oh, go ahead.
No, you said it really well while we were watching it, because I was like, God, there's so much talking between these three and their relationship. And Zach was like, well, when you were playing the game, it was probably dialogue that they said while you were exploring. So it didn't feel so like heavy.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's actually a really good point. It was probably like all this stuff, other than like the big shit. Like a lot of it was probably just casual
when they're on
conversation.
horseback and you're going to the next place.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Looking
good.
at all the scenery, checking out for collectibles.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that scene.
Yeah, some of these, and that's a spot in the game.
Yeah.
There was also a part in the show where she looks at the little
The
dog.
dog, I
painting.
noticed that
Did
because
notice
you had
that?
said so. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny because that painting exists and you've probably walked up to it and looked at it and were like, hey, look at that little white dog. She does the same thing in the game. It's pretty funny. Since we're looking at this, the flashback episode, so that's the second to last episode. And I was actually talking with my sister last night. She watches a ton of TV. She's like, it seems like in a lot of shows, the second to last episode of the season finale is better than the season finale. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
So we did the flashback. Everybody thought Joel was not going to be on the show anymore. So here he comes back. And I thought they did a really good job with that episode because it covers like 3 of her birthdays.
Yeah.
So you kind of get the filler of, between season 1 and season 2, the stuff that we missed, they revisit. And I also like how that episode just completely deteriorates as it goes.
Yeah.
Because it's really happy and it has some great parts where she's on the motherfucking dinosaur. And my favorite section of the entire game is the spaceship part. Where
How did he find that cassette?
where it takes you out of the game. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was my
It was
favorite
mighty,
part.
mighty hard to find. It took a mighty effort to find.
That was my favorite part of the game was the
so
flashbacks. Because they did them more spread out, I think,
Yeah.
in the game.
Yeah, they did.
But that was always my favorite part because it was just like so emotional. It was like such a happy, sad. And I felt like they did that really well in the show, and they added a lot. And
my favorite part, the spaceship, they did it shot for shot. It had the same audio, the same guitar strums, the same light that goes across her face. I just love that scene so much because it takes you with Ellie like out of the world for just a second. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And in the game, they do focus a little more on like how obsessed she is with outer space. I feel like it was replaced with moths in the show because they talk about moths a few times.
yeah,
Which is in the game too. She has the drawings, but in the game, I guess it made it a little more impactful because you knew how obsessed she is with outer space. Like, can you imagine being up there? Like, she talks about it all the time. But so good.
Yeah,
so
look,
good.
it's even moth wings on the cover.
Yeah, that's true. That is
But
true.
I remember hearing bits of that when she was playing about outer space. And I agree that she was a total space nerd.
Yeah. And it's good. I wish he would have given her because in the game, she comes out and he's got like the space shuttle pin. He's like, welcome to Earth. And then she puts on her backpack and you've been playing with that backpack and looking at that pin the whole game, but they didn't put it in the show at all.
yeah.
I think the backpack has the pin on it because you see it when she's crawling.
Yeah, I think
in
it's
this
on her
car,
backpack.
But they didn't
in the
acknowledge
show.
it. It's just there.
Right. Right.
All of a sudden.
Yeah. So that episode continues to deteriorate. He catches her with a girl and smoking pot, and she had just gotten the tattoo. He sees that for the first time. He's like, all the teenage shit at once, huh?
We lost it when he said that. When he said that, we were dying.
Yeah, because he's not wrong. He just walked into like everything.
Everything at once. Everything.
And then you see it further deteriorate when she's like in her room and she's like rehearsing the questions that she wants to ask about Salt Lake City and what really happened, because she doesn't think that he was telling her the truth. And then we go into the Eugene section, which Eugene's been talked about all season. He's mentioned in the game. He's not in the game.
Yeah.
I think he's mentioned more than a few times, kind of like he is in the show. They just always reference him as like this leader. So we get to see Eugene, and his death is absolutely heartbreaking.
Horrible. Oh my God. So raw.
Yeah.
Like really like genuine and like real.
Because they come across him. He's bit. Joel eventually agrees with Ellie that upon his request, he wants to go back and see Gail, his wife. And Joel doesn't do that. And it further instills a couple things. That if you think about Joel as a whole, we all love him. He's terrible, really. He lied to Ellie about everything. He didn't save the human race. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then he does this to Eugene. It's like what he thinks is the right thing to do is never the right thing to do. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And like however his heart feels is not the right way, and we shouldn't love him for that. You know what I mean?
And Tommy almost makes a comment, and it's for the viewers when he's talking to Gail about Joel making the like justifications to what he does.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like maybe Joel isn't a hero, but we all still think he is.
Well, yeah, and he says the same general thing to Ellie when he's like, don't make the same mistakes as Joel. Don't go down that path, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't mention that. That book ends the episode. We start out with the young Joel, and he says, I hope when you have one of your own, you do a little bit better than me. And that comes
such
back.
Good writing.
And, but the Joel thing... So he ends up killing Eugene in one of the saddest scenes I've ever seen, because he's like, do you want me to pass along any last words? And he's like, I want to hear her last words for me.
Yeah.
And your heart just breaks, and he kills him. And that whole thing obviously parallels the same way he lied to Ellie about the same thing, gave her the same look, promised her, all that stuff. And then she ends up ratting him out to Gail on the spot, which I'm glad she did. That part's really impactful, really cool. And she slaps him in the face, and then we go to, I guess, the porch scene, which is in the game. It's in the game. It's at almost the very end of the game, though. I do understand narratively for a TV show why they put it here, because up to this point, and I was following message boards and things like that, up to this point, everybody was like, why does Ellie even have all this it's not directed at anything, like... They were fighting, and why? And you finally get that at the end, at the very end of the episode, that she, in their last conversation ever, that she's going to attempt to forgive him. Then that's the end of the episode.
And then that's taken from her.
So you left with that. You're like, oh, because the next morning he dies.
Right.
And there's actually, I rewatched that episode a few nights ago before I watched the finale, and there's like 3 different. I didn't notice it upon a second until I watched it a second time. There's like 3 different parts where Joel has a last conversation with somebody. Like there's one with Gail, there's one with Tommy, and then there's one with Maria. I guess that's her name. Right before the altercation at the barn party, she says something really mean. He like has all these really good goodbyes. It's weird if you watch it a second time that was included.
Interesting.
And then the finale. So what'd you think about the finale? That was my lowest rated episode of the season, actually.
It was paced really weird, but I overall enjoyed it. I felt like I feel like they threw in so much in the end. Like I told Zack, because I don't know, like an episode before that or 2 episodes before that, I was like, we're only like a third way into the game. So they're going to have 2 seasons after this. And then it felt like they threw everything into the last episode that they could have had more with. I don't know. Maybe I'm just remembering wrong, but.
No, that was one of my biggest complaints about the episode, was that it had a flat first half and then a way too quick and scrambled second half of the finale. Like it never felt like a finale. Like it should be all amped up, and it seemed all forced. Like they started playing the music when she got in the boat.
I will say I am really glad that they did not have Ellie kill the dog.
Ellie kills a dog in a game?
I think that could still.
You
well,
think
we're getting Abby's story, and the dog is a part of Abby's story,
right? But the in the
like
game
it,
when
it lives at the football field. That we
but
saw
when
it, yeah.
you're playing Ellie and you break into the aquarium, the first thing you do is snap the dog's neck.
Oh.
No.
And then you play as Abby, and that's your best
Then
friend
you
the
find
whole
out-
game.
then
And
you
then
find out
at
about
the
the dog.
aquarium, the dog gets his.
Yeah, the same narrative storytelling we were talking about.
Yeah.
Where something happens and then you learn.
That's what
and
I was
get attached
scared
to
of.
it later.
Yeah, that's what I told you. I was like, I'm so scared about this part, and then it didn't happen. So I was
No
really glad they didn't do
way.
that.
It might still.
It could still.
Yeah, they
So
might
sorry, spoilers if you didn't play the game.
Might
But if
redo
you
that
listen
part.
to this podcast, you probably played the game. To be honest.
Yeah.
Most likely.
And or watch the show.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I didn't think about the dog. Well, I've thought about the dog, but I didn't remember her killing it. But now I do that. Now that you.
yeah.
They'll probably just like show a clip of the like dog not being there anymore once they recap the end of it.
Or they might not even include it.
Yeah. I mean, the audiences don't react well to animal violence.
true.
So they might have just removed it. But yeah, I'm glad that they took that out. But I felt like that whole area felt really rushed.
Yeah, the part with her and Jesse was like too long.
Mm-hmm.
I get that they wanted to establish him more as a character before they took him away from us, but I felt like it all was kind of flat. I felt like her landing on Scar Island for that bit and almost getting hung was unnecessary. That's not in the game. They do say in the after thing that they were like, we wanted to put that in the game, so that gave us an opportunity to put it in the show. And I was like, you could have done without those 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And we can talk about the scars here in a second, but
Right. She was so close to the aquarium, and I get it's a big wave and everything, but like you would not have made it to the island. That was way farther.
in the game, you do get capsized, but you swim the rest of the way to the aquarium, like through all of the, you barely make it kind of thing.
Right.
So she washes up on, and we see the scars again, and then we get the scene with Owen and Mel, which I thought they did really, really well with. It's almost a shot for shot from the game. They added the cut the baby out part because that's
Yeah, that
not
was
in the
new.
game.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to do it too.
I know. I was like, no way. She's going to, no way.
That's another heartbreaking moment. But Owen's the one that grabs the guy. I mean, he forces Ellie's hand. I don't know. It's hard to say. I guess that's the conversation they want to create. Like, do you think she would have killed him anyway?
No, I agree with that. Like maybe Owen, but probably not Mel. And it was almost like Owen and Mel knew that because the looks they were giving each other. Mel knew he was going for the gun and didn't want him to.
Yeah. And it's a little different from the game. She stabs Mel in the neck in the game
It's brutal.
with her knife. She doesn't realize she's pregnant.
Okay, cool.
Still.
Yeah.
But it's more of an altercation fist fight, and they have the knife, and then she ends up getting a hold of her and just stab right through the jugular. But in this, she shoots like right through his neck, and then it grazes her neck. And it's a pretty intense part because she's like, you have 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Do you have a knife? And then she wants her to cut the baby out. And we know, but viewers don't know. Or I wonder if they've even thought about whose baby it is. Or I guess they just thought she was pregnant. We won't spoil it here.
I don't think viewers are going to.
I just assumed Owens.
It could be anybody's. Like I said, people
anyone's.
may have not even thought about it. They were probably just like, she's
not
pregnant.
Yeah.
Well, spoilers that it is someone's baby. And then all that Jesse stuff is like sets up to that heart-to-heart they have in the theater. Because she's like, I would do anything for you, or I'd set the world on fire for you, whatever. And then they hear the commotion, and then they run out. And just like in the game, and I shouldn't laugh, but Jesse gets fucking smoked.
Beamed.
Smoke, dude. What a shot.
As soon as he runs or bolts through the door, too. And it's the same way in the game,
It's
too.
exactly
Bam!
this. It's so like sudden, and you're like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely smoked. Like right through the cheek or something.
Yeah. I was like, there's no way he just died. And then they show him and the bullet's in his cheek, and I'm like,
Yeah, he's dead.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
He's dead for sure.
which I think is really cool to do because it reminds you that these heroes don't always get this dramatic last words, heroic death. Sometimes they
Yeah.
just get beamed in the noggin.
Yep.
Beamed in the noggin.
Handy super does.
Yeah, and like big time.
What a shot from Abby, too. I'm like, I get that, she's like,
Well, she's the
grew
best
up,
of the best.
I
Remember
know,
what they
grew
were
up
saying.
in military. I know what Isaac said, but like, there's no way that you get him that fast going through the door with that much accuracy.
She
like,
did it.
Okay, Abby, I
Is
see you.
that good?
Absolutely smoked. And then it closes with she's obviously Tommy's still alive. She's like shot him in the knee or something, I think. So he's like on the floor. She's got the gun pointed at him. And then Ellie comes out and says, I'm the one you want. She's got the gun pointed at her. You hear a shot and it cuts to black. And then we get the Seattle
Day one.
football field, day one.
Yeah, I get what you were saying before, too. It's like that moment wasn't built up well throughout the episode. It's like that. It makes sense to have that, the season finale, but the whole start of it didn't feel like that's what it was leading up to.
I didn't think that the season would get that far. I didn't think we'd see that scene.
I didn't think so either. That's what I was just saying.
I didn't even know if we'd see the Mel and Owen thing.
Yeah.
Them die.
I didn't
know
think
if we'd
she'd
see
even
them
get to the
die.
aquarium. But then it just, suddenly we were there.
Yep. So I didn't think it would get that far. I do like how they transitioned out. The football stadium looks almost identical to in the game. It's great.
Oh, I'm so excited for Abby's story.
Yeah. And yeah, we said that earlier. So you in the game, half the game is Ellie, half the game is Abby. And I enjoyed and I think a lot of people, at least who really enjoyed the second game, preferred the Abby section of the game.
I did.
So I'm really excited for season 3 for sure, even if a lot of people aren't or were disappointed by this season for whatever reason. I just don't know how much Ellie we're going to get next season, if at all. Maybe a little bit.
Then maybe people will stop their bitching.
Yeah.
True.
But we're going to get to find out about Abby, what happened over those 3 days, the same 3 days in Seattle, her relationship with Isaac. I did like, and I know some people were confused, why are we seeing Isaac? I do like how we got introduced to Isaac. We know how strong and like powerful and smart and level-headed he is. We got all that foundation. We've met the Scars, but kind of the same thing. We know who they are and that they're ruthless and they'll do anything to protect their own. They're almost tribal or religious, but at the same time, they're still cloaked in some mystery. We don't know a lot about this war between them, and Abby's season is definitely going to take care of that. So I think they did a good job in this season with at least introducing us to all of that without over-consuming us with all of that. But I know people who haven't played the game were probably a little confused and like, why was that stuff even in there? Like,
yeah,
seemed like a waste of time. I've seen people say that.
It's a build up.
The Last of Us
process.
Yeah, the second game and kind of how they're playing it out in the show is definitely a retrospect in like you've got to play it all to understand what happens earlier. Even us folks that enjoyed the game, like we're frustrated, we're uncomfortable, wanted to quit sometimes, but all that's on purpose. Like they want you to feel that way. And I've told some other people that like you should be mad that this happened in the episode. You're supposed to.
Yes.
It's like wait till it's all over.
Yeah, that's something Alyssa was saying when we were watching it, is that it like even playing the game did so good at pulling all of the different emotions out of you. It's not just a happy game that you get to, let the good guys win. It's you experience it all. And it's like, yeah, that's the humanity in Last of Us.
Yeah, and that's really what it's about. Like it's not a heroes and villains type of thing. It's like you decide maybe they're all heroes, maybe they're all villains, maybe they're all just acting how they would really act. I don't know. It raises all these questions within your own mind, and that's why it's so good. So I gave it an 8. I enjoyed it. I will say, the first season was 9 episodes. This one was 7. Why? Because this season definitely could have used 2 more episodes.
Yes.
Even still ending it where they did.
Yeah.
So
Ran out
why?
of budget.
Yeah, I know. And I feel like they had more because the infected stuff was really, really good.
Yeah, so good.
The spores scene?
Yeah, that's
wow.
That set piece probably cost $1 zillion and took 400 people 9 years to make. Man, beautiful.
Gorgeous.
So good. I was like, there's like so much of it was moving and like it had the layers to it.
Plus, the dude, if you notice, the one that's like still breathing out that she goes all the way up to and shines the light is the lady's son from the beginning.
Yeah, Leon, right?
Yeah. It might be I forget his name.
Yeah, we watched it last night or whatever, so I think it was Leon.
And that's another good parallel story, just that little open, because that woman had the same opportunity that Joel did, and she chose the opposite.
Right.
She chose to keep people safe and sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because that's what he would have wanted.
Yeah, man.
It's just crazy how they play on all those parallels. So I still thought it was an awesome season. Like I said, I know a lot of people hated it, but it's a love it or hate it kind of thing, I feel like. And like I said, I dig that it's as divisive as the second game was. If everybody liked it, it would just be Mario
Boring.
Kart.
No, agreed, because it's like even watching the first part of this one and not playing the game, it's like I can understand why Abby and Ellie are both justified. It's like basically you both saw your dad get killed now. You both want to go kill him.
Yeah. Plus, in that very last scene, Abby says to Ellie, "I let you live." The same thing Joel said.
Yeah,
to
it's all a
Abby.
cycle. All cycle of revenge.
Yeah. So, check out the reviews on thebarn.media if you want to dig more into the episodes. We spoiled it all, so you probably have already watched them all. If you've read them, thanks for following. And we'll be back with some Oblivion stuff later in the week or next week.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.